Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Number 2, Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Gulf Coast Office Products. GCOPnet.com is where you can find them for all your printing, scanning, copying needs. Appreciate you starting your work week with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Big week for us here on ESPN Baton Rouge. The morning show guys over in Mobile for the Reese's Senior Bowl. So they'll be bringing you incredible content the rest of the way. I think Walter Nolan was just walking around this morning. They just grabbed him, had him on the show briefly, but they'll have a lot of guys cycling through over the course of the week. And a lot of LSU guys are there. Saw a picture from the symposium early today with Emory Jones was there. Savion Jones was there. So big group of LSU Tigers there in Mobile, and T-Bob, Jake, Ribs, and the entire crew there doing an awesome job over there from Mobile for the Senior Bowl. Interesting story that was released last night, press release from Matt Bowers Auto Group. If you're not familiar with Matt Bowers Auto Group, it's based out of New Orleans, got about 12 locations throughout southeast Louisiana. They released a press statement saying that they had partnered with Elijah Haven for a name, image, and likeness deal. Most of you probably know who Elijah Haven is. If you don't, I'll let you know. Elijah Haven is the quarterback over at the Dunham School here in Baton Rouge. He is the third-ranked player in the nation in the sophomore class for football, according to On3. He's also an excellent basketball player, and has actually been here on site to be on After Further Review with Matt Moscona just a couple of months back during football season. Incredible athlete, phenomenal kid by all accounts. I was blown away by his maturity in the interview that he did with Matt Moscona, but he's going to be a big deal here in the next couple of years, and we'll be able to name where he wants to go to college to play quarterback. LSU is certainly in the mix there as the hometown team, but he'll hear from everybody at this point. He will be a big time recruit. And that's immediately where everybody's mind goes when you start to talk about name, image, and likeness and all that goes into that with high school kids. You just think recruiting, pay for play, because that's essentially what this has turned into over the course of the last 3 years. The press release doesn't have a lot of details here. It basically says the deal is the first of its kind for an athlete. There's a quote from Matt Bowers, who is obviously the CEO of Matt Bowers Auto Group, says Elijah is not only an exceptional athlete, but also as a person who embodies the values of hard work, integrity, and community involvement. We're thrilled to have Elijah on board. He'll be able to support his journey both on and off the field. This partnership is more than just an endorsement. It's about elevating Elijah's voice and using our platform to celebrate his achievements and future potential. The end of it says this partnership with Elijah Haven is part of the company's ongoing effort to foster strong, authentic relationships with athletes, customers, and the communities they serve. So I'm not going to fly off the handle here. I mean, I don't know that this is some massive groundbreaking thing for everyone on the periphery. It's a big deal for Elijah as a sophomore in high school, theoretically, to have some money put in his pocket. That's not something that I did a lot of as a high school sophomore. I was trying to learn how to drive, and that's about it. Not a lot of income coming my way when I was 16 years old. So that's great for Elijah to have that opportunity. I don't know what the Bowers Automotive Group has in mind for this partnership. They don't have a very large presence on social media at this point. It's not like you're plugging him into some massive social media ecosystem. They do some work with New Orleans Football and the Jordy Culotta Show. They've done a lot of advertising, obviously, as an auto group. If you remember, Matt Bowers Auto Group famously, after the NOLA no call, put up all these billboards around New Orleans saying the Saints got robbed and a blown call with EAUX, and he made kind of a big deal out of that. He's a marketer, Matt Bowers is, and as a lot of auto dealers are. So you figure he's got a lot of commercials. If he wants to put Elijah Haven in them, more power to him, I guess. I'm just not sure how big a platform and presence Elijah Haven has currently as someone who's going to move a lot of vehicles. Now, on the other side of that, I'm talking about it right now. And I've never once mentioned the Matt Bowers Auto Group, and I'm doing a whole segment on it. So in that perspective, it does make some sense there. I guess in this case, any press is good press. Most of you that are listening to me pull for LSU. Ipso facto, most of you that are listening to me despise Ole Miss. And part of this story is certainly that Elijah Haven joining forces with Matt Bowers Auto Group means he is certainly entering a relationship with Matt Bowers, who, by the way, is an Ole Miss alum and booster. So that is part of this story. What we've learned from name, image, and likeness stories is that business owners with attachments to universities are helping collectives and student athletes make money. That is part of the ecosystem that has been created when name, image, likeness went into existence. And when the state of Louisiana in 2022 followed suit and said high school kids could be paid, this door became open. Does it mean that now Elijah Haven's being brainwashed by an Ole Miss booster with thousands of dollars over the course of 2 years to get him to see Lane Kiffin and go love the Ole Miss Rebels and make another movie about the blind side? That's not necessarily what this has to mean. But it's a relevant talking point, in my opinion, that Matt Bowers went to Ole Miss and likes Ole Miss, and that the number one player in the state of Louisiana, one of the top 5 players in the country, is now on the payroll. Maybe it's just out of the goodwill of his heart. He just thinks that this is a young man who's great, and I've got a relationship with his father, and we'd like to have him be a representative of our dealership on commercials, and maybe he thinks that's the best way to sell cars. Maybe there's an ulterior motive. I don't know Matt Bowers, and I can't speak to any of that. I think that most LSU fans will look at this and fly off the handle and go, oh my God, Ole Miss alum, this is a disaster. He's going to go to play for Lane Kiffin. They're just cheating. Like that's probably going to be the overwhelming response from LSU fans. I tweeted last night on the press release, I got a chuckle out of the fact that Ole Miss was listed first among the schools that Elijah Haven had a scholarship offer, said Ole Miss, then LSU. I thought that was funny, and I tweeted out, what a coincidence. But I think this is difficult for me to understand from a true marketing perspective. And because of that, it creates some skepticism. But I also have to point out that we're about to enter in 2.5 months a revenue sharing world where the NIL game shifts a little bit. And there's going to be a clearinghouse that has to okay the monetary value of NIL deals. And you're going to have to work for the money that you bring in. And it's going to be a non-biased third party that's evaluating all these deals. So ultimately, you'll have to take this to the clearinghouse and say, hey, here's an NIL deal. Here's what we're going to pay him. Here's what he's going to do. And then the folks from Deloitte will look at that and go, okay, that's good. Or they'll go, no, that's not the way this has to work. The other part of that is that's currently not the process. So there's nothing stopping Matt Bowers from giving Elijah Haven $4 million right now as a sophomore in high school to be the spokesperson for the dealership. Doesn't have to be cleared. And there's thought that you need to get out in front of that and make that happen. I would be shocked if that's actually what's going on here. If you want my honest opinion about this entire thing, here's what I think is happening. And let me be very clear. Let me be abundantly clear. I don't know any of this. I don't know Elijah Haven. I don't know his dad. I don't know Matt Bowers. I don't know what's involved in any of this. This is my opinion from far out. I believe that Matt Bowers is a really good marketer and businessman. I believe this generating attention for his dealerships is a good thing just in terms of name recognition. I think, as he has tweeted out, he's got a relationship with the Haven family. I think he thinks that this is a young man that's going to be a big deal in South Louisiana, and he'd like to get in the door early. And I don't think it's the worst thing in the world that we're making this and having this relationship, and we'll see if he thinks Ole Miss is a good place to go take a visit. That's my opinion. I don't think he's funneling cash directly to Elijah Haven by the truckload just to get him to Oxford. I don't think in his heart of hearts he really believes this is going to be a massive win for his business selling a lot of trucks. I think it's an opportunity to do a little bit of marketing for probably not a massive price tag. That's my opinion on this from the way outside. Candidly, as I always tell y'all, my interest is in LSU. Would I rather Elijah Haven have a relationship with an LSU alum car dealer? I would. Hand up. Yep, would definitely. Do I think this makes him a slam dunk to go to Ole Miss? I don't. I think that's probably stepping just a touch over where we are in reality. You want to take this information and never buy another car from Matt Bauer's Auto Group? Fine. If you're an Ole Miss fan listening and you can't wait to get down there and buy another one and tell them thanks for making this happen, fine by me as well. I'm just here to analyze the situation. Elijah Haven's going to have a lot of phenomenal opportunities because of his talent and the way that he represents himself. And he showed that in this studio a couple of months ago when he sat down with Matt Moscona. I think he's an awesome football player. It appears that he's a wonderful kid. And this is a great opportunity for him because of the hard work that he's put in and the talent that he's got. I don't think it's got to be something where we all just absolutely gnashing our teeth and moaning and bemoaning the entire process. I'm not there with this right now. Show me some other information and maybe I get there. I think that this is just something that's going to create a little bit of a blip on the social media world, and we'll probably not think about it a ton moving forward. We'll see. Maybe I'm dead wrong, but that's where I'm sitting right now as we kind of look at things. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products. We got a long way to go, so hang out with us. Coming back a little bit more. LSU got a lot of Pro Bowl flavor, and they added one more today. I'm going to talk about the incredible run that these LSU football players have been on in the National Football League. We'll do it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that's on the lot is online. Every car that's online, it's on the lot at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. When I say Genesis Baton Rouge, you should think luxury vehicle. It's a luxury vehicle at a reasonable price. When I say luxury vehicle, you probably think a couple of things. One, there are some brands that probably come to mind. One, that, I can't afford that. Well, why don't you take a look? Because you'd probably be surprised. When you get behind the wheel of a Genesis, you'll know. It's got all the bells and whistles you could want. It's stylish. It's comfortable. The drive is incredibly smooth. And it's got incredible safety features. It's also at a reasonable price. Go on by and see him at Airline at Piku, right across from Women's Hospital, and just experience it for yourself. Go see their first-class dealership. Go work with their incredible team and get behind the wheel of this entire line. From the sedans all the way up to the SUV, they are first class. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, and you can find them online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com, GenesisofBatonRouge.com.
Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
Obviously, the LSU Fighting Tigers in the NFL would like to be preparing for a Super Bowl. But the next best thing is to be headed to the Pro Bowl. It means you've had a phenomenal season, and LSU was very, very much front and center in the Pro Bowl in the regular season this year, and that got enhanced today. We already knew that Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels at quarterback were headed to the Pro Bowl. We already knew that Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and Brian Thomas were headed to the Pro Bowl. We already knew Daniil Hunter on the defensive side, as well as Derek Stingley Jr. were headed to the Pro Bowl. And today, because Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Lions has opted out because of an injury, Malik Neighbors joined that number 8 Tigers headed to the Pro Bowl games coming up this week. I think most of you are aware the Pro Bowl no longer exists in its other form. They now play flag football and do skills competitions over the course of a couple of days in Orlando at Camping World Stadium. Not quite what it once was down in Hawaii where it was a big event, but that's probably for the best because you really didn't need guys playing a fake football game anyway. And so they try to make some fun out of it, and LSU will certainly be very, very well represented in this game. Malik Neighbors had a ridiculous rookie season, especially when you put into context how terrible the quarterback play was for the Giants. It was so bad that we had to cut guys mid-season. Daniel Jones is being shipped. It was just a disaster. And still, Malik Neighbors, who was a 6th overall pick in the draft, made 106 catches. That's the most ever by a rookie wide receiver. He was the fastest player ever to 100 career catches Oh, whose record did he break there? Odell Beckham Jr., who went to LSU. And he set the Giants' record for single-season receptions. He was awesome in an inept offense. And I think this is very, very well deserved for him to get this honor. You look at the guys he'll be joining. You look at Malik Neighbors. You look at Jamar Chase. You look at Brian Thomas. You look at Justin Jefferson. You look at Derek Stingley. That's 5 guys from South Louisiana who went to LSU that are at the Pro Bowl. You add in Daniil Hunter, obviously from Houston, and you add in Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels, who you picked up in the transfer portal at quarterback. But it's just been another piece to this incredible run that LSU has been on. I was hopeful that Jaden could pay it off by making the Super Bowl and being the first rookie to ever start a Super Bowl, because I candidly love adding on to this list that has kind of been going since 2019, where you've got the best team in college football history and the Heisman Trophy winner, and you won that year the Thorpe Award, and you won the Biletnikoff Award, and you won Coach of the Year. And then a couple of years later, you have 2 national championships with the women's basketball team and Angel Reese and all that she's done with Livy Dunn and the gymnastics team and that. And then you got Flaugier and her social media. And then you look up and then there's Jaden Daniels, who's winning the Heisman Trophy just after Paul Skeens and Dylan Cruz had taken LSU to a national championship. And you went ahead and got the Golden Spikes Award, National Pitcher of the Year, first pick in the draft, second pick in the draft. Paul Skeens comes up, starts the All-Star game as a rookie, and like, all of this stuff continues to happen. And for LSU to have 8 Pro Bowlers, to have the NFL's leading passer in Burrow in terms of yards and touchdowns, to have Jaden Daniels, who's the first rookie quarterback in the history of the league to win 10 games and account for over 4,000 yards and do all the things that he did, where people are saying he's the best rookie quarterback in the history of the sport, and he could have cemented that by going to the Super Bowl. But you also had Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, who were 1-2 in the NFL in receiving yards. You had Brian Thomas at 3rd. And frankly, like, Malik Neighbors would have been there if he didn't get that concussion and missed 2 games. You would have looked at him as probably the 4th or 5th leading receiver in the NFL. You could have had 4 of the top 5 in the NFL from LSU. Like, it's just remarkable, the heater that LSU has been on. And they have paid it off with championships. You won a football championship in 19. You won baseball and women's basketball. You've got a gymnastics title as well. Like, you've not only done it on an individual level, you've paid it off from a team perspective as well. And then these guys have gone to the next level, and Skeens has just dominated. Paul Skeens is the favorite to win NL Cy Young. He's the youngest since they started posting odds on that to be the favorite to win the Cy Young preseason. And you look at this, and you're going to have the Rookie of the Year in Jaden Daniels, and you'll have Brock Bowers get some love there. But Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are going to finish in the top 5, maybe in the top 4 in terms of Rookie of the Year. You might have 3 of the top 4 rookies in football. And I realize when I say that everyone's visceral reaction is just, oh, Matt House defense stinks. Come on. And that's not wrong. Like, that's not the wrong attitude to have. You had a quarterback who was on another level and 2 stud wide receivers who are both going to the Pro Bowl, and they've been in the NFL for 8 months. It's reasonable to suggest that group should have achieved more. But you didn't, because you didn't put the right defensive staff or personnel together. I'm not really here to talk about that today. I'm more so here to celebrate just how awesome this representation is for LSU to have 8 players in the Pro Bowl games. And you thought that maybe you were ushering out kind of an era there with Patrick Peterson and Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry and Andrew Whitworth kind of being the face of LSU in the NFL, which is a respectable face. That's not bad. Patrick Peterson and Andrew Whitworth are going to go to the Hall of Fame. But you've got a new wave that's coming up. All of these guys under 30 years old, outside of Daniil, who I don't know, I haven't looked up. But everybody else under 30 years old and has some runway to go here. And hopefully you can see those guys playing in Super Bowls, winning MVPs, doing some of those things. Not going to be the case this year, but for them to get the recognition of being in the Pro Bowl, a really, really cool deal. If you're interested, Pro Bowl cranks up the Pro Bowl games. I keep saying the Pro Bowl. The Pro Bowl games is what they are now called. They crank up on Thursday, and you'll see flag football and skills competitions, the quarterbacks throwing things, wide receivers running routes and doing those kind of things. It's not necessarily the first thing that my eyes are drawn to from a television perspective, but there are so many that are football junkies that'll just do it no matter what. So that's coming up on Thursday, and you'll have a lot of LSU Tigers to pay attention to if you go ahead and check that out coming up starting Thursday through Sunday in Orlando. So wanted to get to that. There's a lot going on right now at LouisianaSports.net. If you want to pull it up, I've got a piece up about how Trey Green can help LSU basketball. Marler's got his SEC basketball power rankings up, but also Ross Jackson is down at the Super Bowl. That would be the Senior Bowl in Mobile. He's got a little bit of piece up on some senior quarterbacks the Saints could potentially be looking at. Jackson Dart is the picture on that, so that's probably where things will start. Eagles offensive coordinator Kellen Moore reported to be interviewed today, so that will be news if and when it does happen. LSU women's basketball in the AP poll. Baseball America picking LSU second in the preseason poll. And then you've got my preseason scrimmage report from the baseball side of things. So look, it's got you covered every which way. You got the Senior Bowl, you got the Saints, you got coaching search, you got LSU basketball, got LSU baseball, got some Pro Bowl talk with football as well. If you're a Louisiana sports fan, love the Saints, love LSU, love to follow the SEC, we got you covered over there at LouisianaSports.net. All right, let's step aside. We still got a little over half an hour to go on a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Closets may not be something you think about all the time, but you should, because I had a pretty poor closet situation in the old residence. My wife, fiance at the time, moved in. She was like, this is awful. And I never even thought about it. But she was like, we got to do something about this. And what we did was move. But you don't have to move. We didn't just move for closet space. For having another kid, so we need a little bit more room. But you don't have to move to get more closet space. You can have David Duvall and his team come in and customize a closet to your specifications. You need more room. You need less room. You got a ton of shoes. You wear a suit to work every day. All things that you can consider when putting together your closet situation. And David Duvall is going to put it together, customized to your specs, and it's going to be gorgeous. And I can promise you this, they're not going to do it as quickly as possible to get to the next job. They'll do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. Check out pictures of their fantastic work at OneBathAndClosets.com. You can get that free consultation. That doesn't cost you anything. Free consultation. Check them out at OneBathAndClosets.com. OneBathAndClosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
L'Auberge Casino Hotel in Baton Rouge brings you live coverage of the 2025 Reese's Senior Bowl. Our team of T-Bob Aber and Jacob Hester host Off the Bench live from Mobile. Start today all the way through this Thursday, January 30th. But you can listen on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and watch on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. We've also got Citizens Bank and Trust car payments for a year coming up here soon to help cover your car payments. It's $5,000 for the grand prize with a bonus chance to win free car washes from Benny's Car Wash for 6 months. We're also letting you earn extra entries by subscribing to our LouisianaSports.net daily newsletter that Mr. Hunt Palmer, of course, is involved in. To sign up, visit 1045ESPN.com.
Speaking of L'Auberge, I can say this at this point. I will be out there pregame for the Super Bowl. Looking forward to it. Probably from 3 to 5 is what it sounds like, hanging out there at L'Auberge. Kickoff is at 5:30 our time.
For the big game, Hunt?
The big game. Apologies
come on,
for that.
Hunt.
Here
Careful.
comes the FCC. But yeah, I'll be out there for the big game in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to I was out at L'Auberge on Saturday night. Brought a margarita tower.
I saw that. I saw that picture on Twitter.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
It was. I had one. I had to write the post game for basketball, so I didn't hammer the whole tower of margarita. But I did enjoy a margarita out of the tower. That's a new one. I've seen beer towers many times over the years. I actually have had a few beer towers at L'Auberge inside ESPN Bet, because on Thursdays they're half off and you can get 9 beers for $11. That's a good deal.
It is.
The margarita pitcher, candidly, I didn't pay for that. They brought that over for us as kind of a thanks for being there. And I had one. It was very tasty. But you want a margarita tower? available at ESPN.
That's a lot. That's a lot for especially for maybe even just for two people. That's a lot of alcohol.
I chuckled at Rivers. She had a Facebook post for her birthday, and she said somehow at 37 I've managed to have a standing appointment on Fridays for 1.7 margaritas because you got to know your limits. It's like, yeah, there's just no way I'm leaving 0.3 margarita left in the cup. That's gonna get drank.
Absolutely can't leave that.
But if she knows that's her limit, good for her.
Fair enough.
Let's check out ESPN.com. Story up, as you would expect, just a week after the national championship game from Bill Connolly, where he says that he's going to do the bracket for next year's college football playoff. Because why wouldn't you do that in January of 2025 for December of 2025 into January of 2026? And I realize this is not like news you'll feel the same way I do. So it's an understood statement that I'm going to make, but it is different than really any point ever in my life. LSU has to make the playoff next year. Like, you got to make the playoff. I guess I shouldn't say you have to, because it doesn't mean that like there's going to be massive sweeping changes in the football program if you come up a game short or something. But like, that's the goal. You got to make the playoffs. And that can be the case in basketball with the NCAA tournament. It can be the case with baseball in the NCAA tournament or Super Regional or Omaha. Like, we say that before a season a lot of times with like men's basketball. Like, you need to make the tournament this year. We say that a lot with baseball. Like, you got to get to Omaha. And like, that conversation doesn't happen as much, or has not happened as much from a football perspective. Like, you have to make the national championship game. Like, I've never heard anybody say that in September. In August. Like, they say it in Tuscaloosa when Saban's there. It's failure if you don't make the national championship game. I think for LSU, I just haven't heard that a lot. Maybe with the 14 playoff, you need to make the playoff, but not a lot of folks in a 14 playoff era are getting fired for going 10-2. Like that, and you're not going to get in at 10-2, but not a lot of people getting fired for that. And this is not a fire Brian Kelly comment, not even close to that. But it's because you've swelled this thing. This was our first chance to look at it. You were coming off the worst defense in school history. I think a lot of people hoped that LSU could make the playoff this past year. I think there are probably a lot of fans that said, yeah, we'll make the playoff. 10-2. That's a 10-2 team they'll be in. But that's the way fans operate. But this time it feels different. Like, this is year 4 of Brian Kelly. You feel like your offense is on sturdy footing. You've gone to the transfer portal and tried to shore up your defense with a lot of Power 5 starters. Like, it's shifted the perspective. And so I took the opportunity here to go outside of our little bubble here. I like to go outside the bubble sometimes. I like it in the bubble. The bubble's nice. It's purple and gold. A lot of people agree with each other in the bubble. It's a comfortable place to be. But outside the bubble, you may get a dose of reality from time to time. And so I like to go outside the bubble every once in a while and see what people are saying. Well, we look at Mark Schlabach's rankings for next year, and he's got LSU in the playoff. He's got LSU as the 9 seed. In that instance, they're at Oregon in the first round, and then they would move on to play Ohio State in the second round. That would be quite difficult. I feel like Ohio State's probably losing some talent. I know Dylan Gabriel's moving on at Oregon, and I'm not sure what's next over there. And I can't speak to those rosters exactly. I've got a sense that at Oregon and then number 1 Ohio State, probably not the greatest draw, but you'd be in. And trust me, and I mean this when I say it, LSU going to Autzen Stadium to play in a playoff game, to me, is really cool. It's intimidating, but it's really cool. In the exact same way that Oregon playing in Death Valley on a Friday or Saturday night in December with a playoff on the line is awesome. And I would think that was great. That's looking at things through Schlabach's rankings. Now, Bill Connolly went further, and he extrapolated things out personally and went on to put together a different playoff. And in his, he put Georgia as the SEC champion, and then he went to the SEC teams he thought would make it. Second on this list, and this is, I quote Connolly in this story, I had to make sure at least 3 more SEC teams got in because I don't want the league demanding even more automatic bids moving forward. Texas is an obvious pick. The Longhorns are going to be outstanding. But the main candidates for the other 2 spots, LSU, South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, A&M, and Ole Miss, Texas doesn't play those teams outside of Florida and A&M, so that's why he feels good about Texas. So that's the second SEC team in. Third, LSU. Why? Because Garrett Nussmeier to Aaron Anderson is a proven pass combination. Brian Kelly's seemingly done an excellent job in the transfer portal this time. And the odds of a second-year leap for defensive coordinator Blake Baker with linebackers Whit Weeks and Harold Perkins Jr. returning are solid. So right now, Bill Connolly, who's really an analytics guy, thinks that LSU is right there slotted behind Georgia and Texas. He also put Alabama in. He says, I'm giving Kalen DeBoer a mulligan. The Crimson Tide suffered a couple of statistically fluky losses while stumbling to 9-4 this past season. They averaged 6 yards of play against Vanderbilt and Michigan and allowed 4.3, but they fell in both games. And though the Bama offense cratered late in the season, DeBoer's offensive track record is strong, and he was working with inherited personnel. Bama's going to have an experienced quarterback. An inexperienced quarterback in 2025, but everyone should understand that each other a bit more, and the talent levels will be so ridiculously high that'll give the Tide the edge over a Florida team with another brutal schedule, a Tennessee team with a rebuilding offense, an A&M team with a rebuilding defense, as well as a fully rebuilding Ole Miss. So that's a lot of words to get through with this story, but the point is that he feels like LSU is right there in the conversation with Georgia, Texas, and Bama as playoff teams. And in this scenario, and go back to my comment about LSU playing at Autzen Stadium or Oregon coming to LSU, in this scenario where LSU gets the 10 seed, they're at Notre Dame in the first round of the playoffs. Folks, if I can't sign you up for that one, I don't know what I can sign you up for. That is so tasty. In the other matchups, he's got Boise State, Alabama. I can pass that easily. North Carolina at Texas in a fake Mac Brown Bowl, I guess, there. But that, as he mentions, would be Bill Belichick against Arch Manning. So Belichick versus Manning, something we saw in the AFC for a lot of years. You would have it in the CFB. And then at 9 and 8, he has a lot of fun here with Ohio State at Michigan. I feel like we got scarred a little bit because of Boise, Indiana, and Arizona State. And we felt like that we were getting shortchanged and we wanted the brands. Maybe there are some of you that think I'm an idiot and fully agree with Hester, and you're all about seeing some of these teams get their swing on the national stage. And I'm not advocating letting a 3-loss Ole Miss or Alabama in the playoff. I just want the big brands to win enough games to get in, because I want to see LSU at Notre Dame. I want to see Ohio State at Michigan. I love the fact that Tennessee went to Ohio State and that Clemson went to Austin. That's the kind of stuff we want to see. In this simulation, he's got Georgia, Penn State, Utah, and Louisville with auto buys in. They've got, obviously, Georgia winning the SEC, Penn State winning the Big Ten, which is ambitious, Utah winning the Big 12, I guess it is, and then Louisville winning the ACC. I don't even know all the conferences off the top of my head there. And so that, Utah and Louisville, I don't think are moving a lot of people's needles there. But if you can get some of these big brands in that first round, that's so cool. And so in these two situations, both Schlabach and Connolly believe LSU is a playoff team. Neither has them winning the SEC. Both have them traveling to big-time brands in the first round. And that's just a step right now that LSU's program has to take, and that I cannot wait until it does take. At some point, LSU's going to get in this playoff. It's too good a program, too good of a brand name to completely crater and miss this thing for 10 straight years. Like, they're going to get there at some point or another. But I think we're all in agreement as you look at this, like, it's got to happen. And that's the sentiment from down here. Again, I just kind of like to go outside the bubble and look and see what the national folks think. And that's two with no ties to LSU at all that would suggest LSU is going to make it into the college football playoff next year. Incidentally, Schlabach, as I mentioned, had LSU at number 8 in his preseason rankings. And then had an outlook that said that the Tigers lost at least 3 games for the 3rd straight season under Brian Kelly. They seem to be all in heading to 2025. Then he lists a lot of the great transfers that LSU pulled in, and then mentions Nussmeier threw for 4,043 yards with 29 touchdowns this past season. And his return might give LSU an edge over other SEC contenders. Rebuilding the offensive line and shoring up a defense that surrendered 24 points per game will be areas of focus in the offseason. It has to be better in 2025, right? I guess it didn't have to be better in 2025, but we're all hopeful that it is better in 2025. And if it is better by 2 games, you're talking about a playoff team, and that's the goal around here. And we'll certainly be talking about it over the next 9 months. Let's take a time out, come back, and close things out. It is a Monday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com is the website. I contemplated whether or not to tell this story, and I decided I'm going to do it. Because it just shows my complete ineptitude. We were watching TV on Saturday in the Palmer house, a TV that was installed and hung up by Audio Video Security Solutions. And we looked up from playing with dinosaurs with Myers or whatever, and the TV was off. And I couldn't get it to turn on with the remote controls. So I called Mitchell. It's like, hey, man, my television won't turn on. He's like, well, he walked me through a couple things to look at on the TV. He's like, okay, wait, then you got to go throw the breaker on. And I went back, and it's a house that we have lived in for 11 months, and none of the fuses have ever blown. Well, one did, so I just flipped it back on. I'm an idiot. We already know that. But the point of the story is the customer service was good. I didn't know what to do. I called Audio Video Security Solutions. I have Mitchell Fisher's cell phone. He fixed it in 40 seconds. So that's the kind of customer service you're getting at Audio Video Security Solution. They're online at avssla.com, and they're on Instagram at avss_BR. It's Mitchell Fisher and his team at Audio Video Security Solutions, online at avssla.com.
This is The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Gulf Coast Office Products.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge is your home for the New Orleans Pelicans. Tune in as the Pelicans hit the road to face the Raptors tonight at 6:30. Then they'll host the Mavs Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then the Celtics on Friday at 7 p.m. All those games are here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
So your brother's not impressed with my mechanical ability?
That's not a mechanical ability, Hunt. That's just a pretty basic, thing that happens to houses.
I didn't even know where the fuse box was in the house.
How did you find it?
I had to ask Alyssa. She knew where it was. I just walked over there. I could identify the fuse that was needed to be flipped.
Okay, that's good.
And television popped right on.
Wow.
We thought we might have to buy a new TV, which is going to be a bummer. But
it would have been really funny if you had done that, honestly.
Nah, we don't want that. We were searching for prices, though. And we called Mitchell, and he fixed it in 20 seconds.
Oh.
Look, you got to know your limitations. My limitations are pretty much everything.
Yeah.
So as long as you've got someone to help you do anything in the world, then you're in good shape.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, you can swing a golf club. You can talk about you can talk about sports for the most part
sometimes,
and you can do basic functions that almost all humans can do.
I can cook a chicken breast on the stove.
You can make a gumbo.
I can make gumbo. My gumbo's good. I'm a terrible cook. The gumbo's good. There's no doubt. But I don't know how to fix electronic stuff ever.
You don't know how to fix anything, Hunt. Let's just be honest here.
Is there anything I can fix?
You can maybe, let's see. You could fix probably. No, you couldn't do that.
Oh, man.
There's nothing really related to golf that I think you could fix, even though you are not avid golfer.
I can fix a divot on the green. If I hit the green with a wedge,
you can repair,
I can fix a divot.
You can repair a pitch mark. You can do that.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
My dad told me once upon a time that the key early on in marriage is to make sure you screw up 4 or 5 very easy tasks. And at that point, the woman will never ask you to do it again because she knows you're incapable and you're off the hook for like 35 or 40 years.
Wow.
I don't know that I did that intentionally, but I just don't have there's no other gear. I don't have to fake it. I just can't do it.
Yeah, you're not even faking it. You just legitimately can't do it. So it's not even like a play like as your dad is saying.
No, I mean, Yeah, it's just I can't do anything. It just is what it is. Sometimes you got to understand
know your
who you
role.
are.
Know your role.
And I'm here.
Know who you are.
And what we do here, because of this ineptitude, we keep the economy moving.
Yes.
I got to have somebody come cut the grass. That person cuts the grass. They patronize Gulf Coast Office Products for their printing, scanning, copying needs. They sponsor the show, and the world goes round and round. I need somebody to handle my televisions. Mitchell does it. He can turn around and sponsor the show. You got to keep the economy moving. If you do everything yourself and you don't pay anybody anything, how are we supposed to get this thing moving?
That's a really good point, Hunt. You make a great point.
See? I make a lot of great points.
Oh, yeah, wait. That's
Hunt, I think it's a great observation.
Thanks, Coach. I appreciate that very much. Let's play Take It or Leave It.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Today's hottest stories in sports, news, and sometimes even Hunt's life. The question is, will he take them or leave them?
all right. First one here. Tennessee women's basketball coach Kim Caldwell will return to the sidelines just 1 week after giving birth to a son. Take it or leave it.
I sent that right to my wife. Said, look, she's back to work after a week. Okay? So let's just keep that filed away for when March rolls around and we have a new one. I think 4 or 5 days, you get back to the job.
Yeah, I mean, this is
those diapers aren't paying for themselves. I'll tell you that.
This is a stressful job that she is a coach of a basketball team. There's a lot of stress and pressure that goes with that. It's a very pressure-filled job. There's no room for error there. So I'm pretty sure, your wife's job is not. It's probably as stressful as this.
No, she's just taking care of the youth of our area and their ears, noses, and throats.
Yeah.
So not a big deal. I think she can get back to work pretty quickly. I did send her that. I'm curious to see if she's responded to that. See if I need to contact my attorney from a few years ago. It appears, based on the response, that she will not be going back to work after 1 week.
Okay,
is what it appeared.
Well, maybe 2 weeks. I was
reading
then.
some context. It could be, but we've at least got a baseline set now. Tennessee's women's basketball coach back to work after like 6 days. Just file that away.
Yeah. All right, next one. Kelvin Shepard, former LSU Tiger, named the new Lions defensive coordinator with Aaron Glenn leaving to take the Jets job. Shepard will be a head coach in the next 6 years. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. That's just a natural progression. Most guys move up one way or another. He's got to continue doing some really good things. They've got great personnel, and I think if it drops off significantly, that would be a tough spot for him. But I don't want to think that way. I want to think that's an awesome thing for a former Tiger. I saw that. We posted on LouisianaSports.net, and then I sent that to Brandon Taylor and Marlon Favorite, who both played with him, who I work with every Saturday in the fall, and they were fired up about it. That's awesome.
All right, next one here. The rise of Vanderbilt sports continues, Hunt. The women's and men's basketball teams both entered the AP Top 25 this week, getting some nice wins in conference play. That's the first time both teams were ranked since 2011. Anchor down. Take it or leave it.
Take it. They're playing great. That was a heck of a win for them back on Saturday against a good Kentucky team. Mark Byington's done a great job getting those guys ready to play. I don't know anything about their women's team at all, but I know that their men's team is not the most talented team in the conference, but they've been coached really well, and they outlasted Kentucky on Saturday. It was a tight game, but they played great.
All right, last one here, Hunt. The Cubbies made a blockbuster move over the weekend, trading for Astros 36-year-old closer Ryan Presley. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it.
Leave it alone.
He's old. He's lost a mile per hour off his fastball. His ERA has been 3.5 the last couple of years. They traded for Josh Hader to move him out of the closer role. He's expensive, although the Astros are taking $5.5 million of it. It's not a very encouraging move to me. I think he's an average reliever that we're now paying like $7 million.
Yeah, why are we making these moves, Cubs? We have money. We don't need to be the Oakland A's and taking players that are their former team are paying for.
I believe you're looking for the
San
Jose A's.
Sorry, yes.
Or the
I
wonder what they're going to go by. They may just go by the Athletics.
The Athletics. Yeah, I think that's what I saw.
Wow,
what a team.
That makes me so sad.
What an organization.
Are they going to Sacramento or San Jose?
Sacramento.
Yes,
the great city of Sacramento. Really, really great baseball town. Yeah. For the foreseeable future.
Is that it?
That's it.
All right, I'm bummed. Was planning on going to see some baseball today. Forgot. Myers Man has swim lessons. He's excited about it. Last week he's had them for a while.
Okay.
He likes it. But we tried goggles last week for the first time because all the other kids had goggles.
No go?
Oh, he likes the goggles.
Oh, all right.
He wears the goggles all the time. He wore them in the car to school today and didn't want to take them off to go to school. Said, we're going to put them in the car seat. When I pick you up, you'll have the goggles to go to swim lessons, not to go play on the playground. So, yeah, no baseball for me tonight. We'll be doing swim lessons. But I'm hopeful to have a little bit more baseball content coming over the course of the next week. I'm starting my baseball position previews on LouisianaSports.net tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, catch it on demand wherever you find your sound. Talked a lot of conference championship games, Saints coaching search, LSU football, Pro Bowl, all that's on demand. Matt's going to drive you home next. We'll get on down the road. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. They're the only fully exclusive Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. You may never have been by Genesis of Baton Rouge. It's on Airline Highway, which you've probably been on a number of times, but it's right there off Piku, and they've only been there for about 2 years now. So if you've never had an opportunity to head over to Genesis of Baton Rouge, highly recommend you go check it out. The dealership is first class in every way. It's an incredible ambiance. It's clean. It's comfortable. The Wi-Fi is great. It's a great place to sit and have a cup of coffee if you're getting some work done while they're servicing your vehicle. It's a great place to go and buy a car. But if you don't want to go buy a car on the lot, you can do it online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. They do digital delivery. They do e-contracts. All of that is available at Genesis of Baton Rouge. Go see them at Airline near Piku or start that shopping process online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. That's my friends at Genesis of Baton Rouge.